All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and highest honors to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kakadash. All right, and double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you brothers who preach, teach, and prophesy His word, in truth and sincerity, putting your lives on the line. And Shalom to those of scattered to the four corners of the globe who are part of those confusions, are those that look like those of the nation of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the globe, because we look like everybody, all right? And this is why this is especially important, because as we have these wars kicking off between these different nations, please believe our people are scattered to the four corners of the globe, so they will be caught up in it regardless of where they are, okay? So this is the Grand Rapids camp, and we bid you shalom to Brother Art Younger.
Right, Kagama.
Basically, what we wanted to get into today is, as you see on the screen, these world leaders and basically the situation that's transpiring in the world today. All right, so all of these different battles are kicking up, and basically what we're looking forward to is seeing which one is going to set off that World War III. These are the things that we're patiently waiting for as prophecy to be fulfilled. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news, and basically we just wanted to go ahead and go through these different news clippings and break down these scriptures and just to basically prove that prophecy is on the verge of happening. It's happening as we speak, but it's on the verge of basically happening and unfolding. So, we pretty much need to strap on your seat belts and your thinking caps and prepare for the things that are to happen, especially as we come into 2020. So a lot of changes, as each year has been for the past 5 years. It's going to be drastic changes that take place. And we hoping that this is the year that we're coming into, that the Lord will, implement the mark of the beast and basically get it started so He can get us up out of here. All right. We're tired of being in this captivity, and we don't give a shit about reparations. So with that said, let's get off into it. It says World War III. The 4 biggest conflicts in the world right now that could trigger war. All right. You see your boy Trump in the middle, and that's what his job is. It's mainly just to bring in this new world's order. That's why he's going about it the way he is, breaking all these different treaties and causing all kind of disturbances in the force, if you will. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one. This is Luke 21:10. It says, "Then said he unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." And that's pretty much what's happening as this third world war, which is the third war according to Revelation, the 11th chapter, that's getting ready to take place. The second war is past, and the third war coming quickly. Wow. And that once this third war comes, that's going to be part of that great judgment that the Lord is going to bring upon the nations, and also is going to be used, for the elect's salvation.
I might as well read it because I got it.
Okay.
Revelation 11:14, get right to the point. Well, matter of fact, I'll just get right to the point. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Kind. So,
What is that woe?
that word woe is destruction. So, 2 major destructions in this captivity has already passed. The First World War and the Second World War. And this Third World War, which the main conflict between America, Russia, China, Iran, Israel,
Pakistan, India.
All of these different great nations, is getting ready to go into war with each other, and it's going to be a war that's fought with thermonuclear missiles, and that's the you know, as far as nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because it started off, you know, when Trump got in office imposing sanctions on these other nations and whatnot, but now it's you know, escalating even further.
Right.
This is Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood.
Right.
This-
So I mean, this ain't gonna be a war where, you know, it's just gonna be troops on the battlefield rushing to plunder and destroy their enemies, but it's gonna be them nuclear missiles that they got sitting in the silos. All of them is gonna be shot off and used in this third world war.
But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
Burning and fuel of fire. You know?
That's that thermonuclear fire. That thermonuclear fire is coming. Then you got that fire from them chariots, some so-called spaceships, flying saucers, if you will. You're gonna have a lot of destruction going. All right. One thing the World War has in common is that in involving every country around the world, the only time they come together is for a messed up purpose, man. All right, every nation unifies together for a messed up purpose. World War involves all nations, man, in some way, shape, or form. UN, they're requiring certain men and women to serve that's in your country, man. They called to duty. So guess what? Them UN troops will be utilized. But the question is, what side is the UN going to be fighting on? Play this real quick.
Okay, so let me start off with a general statement. Almost all countries in this world take tremendous advantage of the United States. It's unbelievable. Okay, I got here and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like even Japan and the treaty, we have a treaty with Japan. If Japan is attacked, we will fight World War III. We will go in and we will protect them and we will fight with our lives and with our treasure. We will fight at all costs, right? But if we're attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us at all. They can watch it on the Sony television, the attack. So there's a little difference, okay, and all these things, and that's the military thing, because remember, as bad as the economic things are, the military, you take NATO, we pay for close to 100% of NATO, people don't know that, we pay for close to, because Germany doesn't pay what they're supposed to pay, and out of the 28 countries, 7 are paid up. I got them to pay last year $100 billion more.
You see, that's what it comes down to it. You know, these other nations, you know, you already have the currency. You understand? You already have this world currency. What else do you want? Of course, you put in the most money to it. All right, because you're moving more towards a warmonger mind state. So your mind is more towards war driven, and a lot of these countries would rather spend that on their economy, man. You know, through the World War II, you still got a lot of these countries, these European countries, still paying for paying back those. Like you have Germany still paying a lot of those reparations off. Basically, they got to pay all of that damage back to what they did to these other countries, like the UK, different parts of Europe. Everybody that was affected by that, and Russia, Germany had to pay that stuff back. You understand?
And he was talking about NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that the U.S. funds for most of the operations there. I mean, you know, NATO was mainly created for going against, you know, Russia when they were the USSR at the time.
Right. Kind.
Got a scripture for you.
Which obviously hasn't changed, you know.
Right. Because it went back to its old ways.
I got a scripture. This is Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
So the Most High is controlling all the chess pieces in this Third World War, alright, to bring his indignation upon all the nations.
Exactly. Let's see. So Rock 13 and 18. What agreement is there between the hyena and the dog? Or what peace is there between the rich and the poor? So you can go into those rich nations and those poor nations, man. All right, because not all those poor nations in this war, in this third world's war, you considered a poor nation if you don't have any kind of nuclear capabilities, man. You're already looked at as being weaker than America and every other nation. You know, just like back in the day when you went up against the Americans or an army that had rifles or what have you would lose if you didn't have rifles and different firearms itself, you know, cannons and things like that. When gunpowder came into play, that shit changed the battlefield. Alright, and if you don't have a nuclear missile right now, you're considered a petty nation, a lesser nation, okay? Because you don't sway any influence. That's why they're so disappointed with North Korea, because they spent so many billions of dollars separating North and South Korea, and yet North Korea still maintains having nuclear capabilities. That shit'll piss you off. I did all of this shit, like them trying to hide us from this truth. They try to keep us from this truth. They spend billions of dollars to keep this word from us, and now look at it, man. It's spreading in a way that they can't. They wouldn't have fathomed what happened. That's why they even cursed the day that the internet was created because of that. It says that the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. And what does America do? On a broader scale, America eats up the natural resources of every country, man. All right, because they have a high supply and demand rate here, and they are a nation that purely imports. They don't export anything, mainly pharmaceuticals and soybean products, man, and rice, GMO products and shit like that, which nobody wants. It says, as a proud hate humility, so doeth the rich or the poor. And they turning up their nose at these different countries, especially Iran. That's why they work so hard to keep them from getting nuclear sufficient, because now that they're becoming nuclear sufficient, these individuals are able to make a lot of noise in the world, okay?
I got a quick precept for you.
God.
This is John 10:10. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. And I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
That's it. And this nation is known for stealing, killing, and destroying. All these Edomite nations are known for that. They have a history of that since the Renaissance period. Well, hell, going all the way back to Alexander the Greek, man, and the Roman Empire. That's all they ever did. This is they got a blood-stained history, and that blood-stained history is familiar with everybody. Everybody got different names that they call the so-called white man around the world. The Great Destroyer, Red Death, all kind of shit, man. The Red Devil, the White Devil, you know. But this is just a fact. So Rock 13 and 21. A rich man beginning to fall is held up by his friends, but a poor man. So you know, if this rich nation starts to fall and go broke, you have the support of the UN or the EU. You're supposed to have the support of the EU, and the two biggest financiers of the EU is America and Great Britain. And by them having the Brexit, that's why it's such a big deal, because now they by them splitting, they're leaving a big deficit, all right, that the rest of the countries aren't able to fulfill. And a lot of those countries still, like Germany, still owe money to Great Britain, so they're gonna have to pay that back. You see what I'm saying? You have a lot of standing debt, and it's gonna cause more problems with that country's economy than helping it. All right, because if you band together, these Edomite nations are able to bear the weight of these wars that they fought, and the economic decline. What is it? The population is basically dying off in all of these Edomite countries. If they bind together, they're able to withstand that weight. But when they separate, that's when all of the problems start happening. You see all these countries like France falling into chaos and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? All these things are beginning to happen because now that they're separated, they're not able to bear that weight, and it's collapsing in on them. Okay?
I got a quick precept.
Crime.
Habakkuk 2 and 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
That debt. Laden yourself with that thick clay. That clay is actually debt, man. And that's what these Edomite countries are caught up in, because, you know, if you look at the American deficit, what is it like? It's like 3 trillion. No, it's over that. It's like 3.6 trillion or something like that.
Look it up.
You know, so there's the deficit in America alone. For them to have the leading currency in the world, all right? For them to have the leading currency in the world and their money be so devalued, that affects every nation in the world in a negative way. That means the sanctions that they have placed on their nations, it completely devalues their money. If the money that's in perpetuation, that's perpetuating through the world, is losing value, how much more so your own money in your country?
As of right now, the U.S. national debt is over $23 trillion.
That's ridiculous, man. That's
and
a debt you can
going
never.
up fast.
That's a debt that you'll never be able to. Where'd you go to? Debt clock?
Yeah, national debt clock. USDebtClock.org.
USDebtClock.org. See this pussy ass clock, man. Look at that.
That shit is rapidly increasing.
And this is a U.S. published national debt is 23 trillion, but the truth is 120 trillion. And each taxpayer's share is 790,000. All right, that means you can't even cover you. That just holds you and shows you that if that's your debt and you don't have $790,000 plus your own personal debt, all right, this is the average amount of debt that each taxpayer has. Okay, that means that you are a debt slave. So if you're not part of the 1%, you are a debt slave. Even the average Edomite that's doing well in the middle class before they take these food stamps away is at about what? Let's give it about 500,000. Okay, the average Edomite that's in a high position, a pretty good fucking job, you know, one of them monkey suit wearing jobs all day. Okay, in a high position. Let's say he got $500,000 saved up in his bank. He's still coming up short. You're still $290,000 in debt, which makes you still a debt slave. So if you are not part of that 1%, you are a debt slave, my friend. Okay? At least you thought your ass was something special. So it says right here, World War III is a re-emerging concern in the 21st century as international communities are at loggerheads now more than ever, and wars have broken out in pockets around the globe. World War III concerns are developing concern among some people as international relations have soured in recent years, open up opportunities for conflict in countries around the world. Whether conflicts are a bitter exchange of words or physical blows, some of them come with grave implications. Alright, India and Pakistan versus Pakistan. India and Pakistan, alright? India and Pakistan got a long history, man. I was in the service, I was in the army, and I served with this dude, and his name was D'Souza. Alright, and he was Indian. He was a cool cat. But if you brought up anything about a Pakistani, bro, he would be ready to fucking, where's he at? Like, that motherfucker, like, see red, you know what I'm saying? It turned to that damn T-1000 or something, man. It's crazy because the hatred they have for each other going back and forth. India and Pakistan are basically both Elam, you understand? They're the same nation. They are Indians, alright? And basically, they're separated by the fact that the Pakistani nation is usually made up of individuals that are Muslims. Alright, so you got Elam that worships the Muslim religion, just like Iran, and then you have India that believes in Hinduism. Can you read this for me? All right, please continue.
Yes.
The one.
Says India versus Pakistan. India and Pakistan are neighbors with a bloody history due to growing conflict over the territory of Kashmir, which is sandwiched between the two countries. Conflict over Kashmir began before the countries won their independence from the British Empire, when the Indian Independence Act left Kashmir free to accede to either nation. They have fought over the region several times, with major conflicts in 1947, 1965, and 1999.
Right, that's a bloody that's a bloody battle. And I could see why my man felt the way he did, because when you go to war with a nation that's right next to you, I mean, shit can pop off at, at a night at a night out at the bar or something like that. You know, they often exchange blows over the border, and both countries are nuclear capable. That's dangerous. When you have two nuclear capable countries, all it takes is one person to press that button and all hell break loose. Now India and Kashmir have their own administrative regions. India's Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh, and Pakistan's Azad Kashmir and Gilgit Baltistan. China also administrates its own region. Even China got a piece of this of Kashmir. And I bet you it's because Kashmir is rich in some kind of resource. Must be rich in some kind of resource that makes these individuals want to split this land up, man. Aksai Chin, and a full-scale conflict threatens to draw in the nation. So a full-scale conflict between these two nations is going to draw in China, man. Narendra Modi recently stripped Indian administrated Kashmir of its special status, casting doubts over the future of the territory. And that's my man right there. This is Jeremiah, because right now, in the Bible, the nation is known as India as Elam. Jeremiah 49:35, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Alright? And what are those bows? Those nuclear silos that they do have. You understand? And they have missiles in it, and they're waiting to be launched, right? It says, and understand this is a future prophecy. Because it wasn't talking about breaking all the bows of India back in the day, alright? Well, Alexander the Great came in and conquered them, and he just he took his knee and broke all the goddamn bows in India. No. Alright, it's talking about these nuclear capabilities that they have, and we'll back it up with different scriptures. It says, and upon India will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards those winds, and there shall be no nation where the outcasts of Elam shall not come. Alright? And understand, when you even when Alexander the Great came upon this place and they started conquering these different nations and changing the names of these nations, you had these different nations scattered. Even our nation, due to the Roman Empire, in 70 AD, in the destruction of our home, we were scattered to the four corners of the globe. Alright? So whenever you get conquered, that's what happens, man. Because let's just say you have Greece and they conquered 12 other nations. And if they conquer your shit, now those 12 other nations, you're going to start possibly seeing trade with 12 other nations inside of your nation. You understand? And then you do trade with them, and your people he might send some of your people over here to one of those 12 nations to chop wood or hew stone or some shit like that. You understand? That's a hegemony. All of these other nations are underneath this one larger nation that's over you, and if they tell your ass jump, then all you got to say is where you want us to jump to. Okay?
That's being made a tributary.
Exactly. It says, and Elam, Jeremiah 49:36, and upon Elam I will bring, Salakia 37. It says, and I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them. Even my fierce anger, saith Yahweh, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. Alright, and that's in these days, that's to come. Okay, because the Most High is going to make it so all of these different nations basically receive their judgment in this war to come, man. Because there's a lot of males and females that are going to be lost in this destruction in the battle of Yahweh Shaphat, man. Which is the Most High's judgment, Yahweh's judgment.
And, let me look at a quick precept for you.
Okay.
This is Zechariah chapter 2 verse 8. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye.
And now that y'all are basically going against the apple of the Most High's eye, because in the end, you know, when it comes down to it, they're going to oppress us as a nation. It's going to be a lot of death and
They already
destruction.
have.
Kind.
Elam, including Elam with all the rest of the nations that
All back
currently
in the
hold
past,
power
that's
with Esau, they all have oppressed the children of Israel, the sons of Israel.
Yeah,
So,
throughout history, all the way up to this day.
throughout history, all the way up to the day, the children of Israel has been oppressed, man. And Elam is also a part of that. So, you know, all this is judgment for that reason.
That's true. And that's you messed up, and you touched the Most High's favorite people, and that's why you wonder why you go through these strange. Like if you look at India, and you see like on these documentaries, all these weird ass diseases that these individuals be having. They be having some crazy shit come out of India, man. The woman the boy whose feet look like goddamn tree roots and his hands look like tree roots and shit. You know, that shit is some crazy stuff to see, but when you look at it, you understand and you don't feel sorry because you know that's the Most High paying them back for what they did to us. It says, Jeremiah 49:37, for I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek after their life, and I will bring evil upon them. Even my fierce anger saith Yahweh, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. It says, and I will set my throne in Elam, and I will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith Yahweh. I'm going to take down their rulership that they have established. But it shall come to pass in the latter days. In the latter days, so if you don't understand what the latter days are, that means the later days in the times to come, okay? And we are in the latter days, because at that point in time, all the way up until now, that's been a couple thousand years, okay? And this is the latter days that we're in now. It says that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith Yahweh. Alright, and that's what's happening. The Most High is bringing back the captivity of Elam. He's going to bring you right back into captivity. Every country had their chance to rule the world. You understand? And now the Heavenly Father is bringing all these other countries under subjection again. And they're going to be under us in the kingdom. You so-called natives, Latinos, and Negroes. Let's see. China versus the USA. It says, tensions between China and the U.S. have notably ramped up since Donald Trump took office in 2016. The president wasted no time in declaring a trade war with the country due to what he claimed were unfair trade practices. Mr. Trump later ramped up threats against China, with trade tariffs on foreign goods peaking at 25%, and the president also banned Chinese-made Huawei technology, claiming China was spying on the U.S. Now, I just saw an article yesterday, and it was saying, you know, the president of Huawei, because remember, his daughter was a big bargaining chip in that whole situation. I remember they locked her up in Canada and shit. And you know, China was making all these threats because they wouldn't let her go. Alright? Well, in the end, what happened? Huawei is known all the way around the world. That was basically free advertising for Huawei. Alright? Everybody around the world knows about Huawei. And that turned around, and you can buy a Huawei phone now. I had a friend that had one of the brothers And another camp had him a Huawei phone after everything blew over. After they would stop saying, they were saying that you know they wouldn't sell any because they feel like it has spy technology. You can buy one now though. That shit is just as big as a damn iPhone, if not better. You understand? Because I saw the compound that Huawei has, man. That shit is like a whole fucking small country. Alright, the Huawei campus look like a small country, and they basically fit like the Eiffel Tower and all these key locations from around the world. Like, you know, world wonders. They basically placed it on. That's how much land they had. They took them and made replicas of it and placed it in that compound from several different countries, man. And it's all beautiful and luxurious. It's a trip, man. It's amazing. But the point of the matter being, that was all free publicity. All right. So when you look at this and you know that these individuals are at war, where they're getting to the point where they can't make money off of each other anymore. That's a problem because you have a conflict of interest. You have the BRIC nations versus the NATO Union. All right, and all of these three world wars, all of these individuals. Look at this handshake. This is a Masonic handshake. You understand? So they're all in this shit together any goddamn way. Don't get it fucked up. They all go to these same meetings, but the Lord is going to somehow bring a divisive spirit amongst them, man. All right? It says, while there is no evidence of growing physical conflict between the U.S. and China, if war was to break out between the superpowers, it would have global consequences. All right? Because they're two major world powers, man. You got something else?
This is 2nd Ezra 16. And I'm going to start at 7. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. The mighty Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord Yahweh shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence. The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord Yahweh.
That's destruction.
And before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, and they begin to be shot into the ends of the world.
When you learn how a nuclear missile works and the damage you can do, that's why I say it's sharp. Imagine a sharp sword. That shit is built to cut your ass up. We was looking at something on samurai blades and how they would test the sharpness and the quality of the blades. They would cut motherfuckers in half. Alright? They would judge the quality of the blade based on how many bodies it cut through at one slice. Alright? And they you can have a 4-body blade. I think one of the coldest ones recorded was like a 14-body blade. Could you imagine cutting through 14 people with one sword? Because that shit is so sharp.
I think King David made that a trend.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like cutting multiple motherfuckers with one stroke of his sword.
Yes.
That was it.
God. And yes, the quality of the sword does matter, but it's really spiritual power. You understand? But y'all spiritual power is your check. This nation starting with Esau, your spiritual power is these goddamn is this technology, man. It says, let's see. Jeremiah 48:25, the horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, saith Yahweh. Make ye him drunken, for he magnified himself against Yahweh. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision. God damn. Most High, man, he got them words for you that'll cut you up, man, in the spirit, man. He said he gonna make them drunk. Don't they got a lot of power right now? we just looking at a video of these little Hamite boys getting trained kung fu in Africa because China is spreading that image the influence they have all throughout Africa. They loaning them money, building up infrastructures, you know what I'm saying, building dams, getting fresh water, but all of this is coming at a price. They want to be the next individuals that come in behind America and basically have the most influence over Africa, man. That's the only reason they're putting so much influence or money into building up their infrastructure. All right, it's at the cost of their people, and the cost of their their resources. But it said you'll wallow in his vomit, man. You see how a motherfucker get drunk as hell, especially them Edomites, and they get throwing up and just laying and sliding around in their own puke and shit. That's some embarrassing business, man. So the Most High is going to embarrass you before this is over, man, and have you in derision. It says, O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the holes of the mouth. We have heard the pride of Moab. He is exceeding proud. His loftiness and his arrogancy and his pride and his haughtiness of his heart.
Yeah, it's popping off over in Moab right now. All these protests over in Hong Kong and China.
Mm-hmm. And
they getting busy over there, man.
Yeah, they are. They really are. Cops are starting to use live fire on these cats. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people are attacking each other in the street.
Come.
They taking clubs or whatever type of weapon they can get their hands on, and basically, it's a massacre over there.
Right. They hit that cat in his face with that big ass piece of metal. You know what I'm saying?
That's not even the worst video I've seen.
Oh no.
I've seen a video where they was ganging up on this Moabite, chased them down. Basically they jumped him pretty much.
God.
Had him, and he was leaking. Trying to get away. Similar. Worse than this video.
God, I think I seen that one. I see what they be doing on the subways too. Slack it, folks. Y'all know. So basically, what he's trying to do is clean this up. He's trying to stop the protesters. And that's the gist of it.
I got a scripture. It's Jeremiah 48 and 46. Woe be unto Moab, the people of Chemos perishes, for thy sons are taken captives and thy daughters captives. Yet I will bring the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Yahweh. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. So Moab is going into captivity again in the latter days, which are now, man. Mm-hmm. This is just the beginning, man.
Come. Jeremiah 48:31. Therefore will I howl for Moab, and I will cry out for all Moab. My heart shall mourn for the men of Keharius. It says, enjoy. Jeremiah 48:33. And joy and gladness is taken from the plentiful field and from the land of Moab, and I have caused wine to fail from the wine presses. None shall tread with shouting. His shouting shall be no shouting. All right, so you ain't gonna be able to rejoice and because what they like to drink, that sake and these different alcohols, wines and what have you. You know what I'm saying? Rice wine and stuff like that. The Most High is gonna dry all of this up. This knowledge, this technology, it's gonna dry all of this stuff up, and they're not gonna be bountiful like they used to be. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places, and him that burneth incense unto his gods. Therefore my heart shall sound for Moab like pipes, and my heart shall sound like pipes for the men of Kehiris, because the riches that they have gotten are perished. And that is a rich ass nation, man. And the Most High is gonna make those riches perish, man. Because just as I was sitting here explaining how that campus of Huawei looked, man, that shit was amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's Russia versus USA. It says Russia and the U.S. saw a brief dente,
Detent.
yeah, detent, yeah, because it's like a coup detent, or detent, yeah, it's like a coup detent or whatever. It says at the close of the 20th century, following the Cold War, it said, but tensions never fully dissipated. Donald Trump's presidency set a new image of Russia, as the nation was accused of meddling in the 2016 presidential elections. Since the Mueller report dismissed allegations, other countries have come forward saying they suspect Russian meddling. Accusations against Russia might see relations with the country sour further in the future, setting the stage for potential conflict. Alright, and we see already what's going down with that whole Russian thing, alright? It's this is Ezekiel 38:3. It says, and say, thus saith Yahweh, Vashem Yahushai, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Right? And I believe those are the Russian Gog, right? Meshach and Tubal, that's all in that Russian peninsula, if I'm not mistaken. But the chief one being Gog, being Russia, alright, and that's his formal name, or his original name according to the Bible. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with the bucklers and the shields, and all of them handling swords, all of those objects to do war with, alright? And before I continue that, I want to get this part because it says Iran versus U.S., alright? Donald Trump is on a roll with his dismantling international relations between the U.S. and other world superpowers. In 2018, Donald Trump ordered the U.S. to withdraw from the Obama-led Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Under the deal, Iran's nuclear programs were tightly restricted in return for ending sanctions, which had torn the country's economy. If you haven't seen, if you don't fully understand what sanctions are, I made a video on that prior to this, so if you can, check it out. With the sanctions secured on the country, once again, Iran began stockpiling nuclear material, and several high-tension moments followed into 2019. Relations are still held between the countries, and Iran recently announced it would be holding joint military exercises with Russia and China, bringing three of the U.S. rivals together. So
That's Russian being a guard onto them.
exactly, and here go right here, Ezekiel 38:5. Persia is present-day Iran. They changed their name in 1983 or 85, I believe, something to that extent. They changed their name from Persia to Iran. Okay, so it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets. They prepare for war. Gomer, if I'm not mistaken, that's Germany. And all the bands in the house of Togarmah, and the North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. It says, be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Alright?
There it is.
Prophecy
in motion.
That's it. And it's something you can't stop, man. Okay? So all of these things are basically, everything is coming down to the line.
Out of the Holy Bible.
Out of the Holy Bible. Come. Does this look like? Now, let's show you this. You're going to see, when we walking outside and you look to the left and the right and you see These so-called white people, mainly even our people, 2/3, kicking it and hanging out, chilling. This is what they doing in other nations, because while you over here hanging out and you thinking everything is everything, these other nations are actually being prepared to, even the average people being prepared for war, man. Their government is preparing them for war. What's your government doing for you?
Fattening you for the kill.
That's it.
منتظر باشید از خطر نظام ما عبور کنید نابودتان میکنید من بارها میگویم دیر شده است همه چیز تمام شده است به صهیونیستان میگویم منتظر آمریکا نباشید.
Look at this. Look at that image right there alone. And they are all in unison. I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but he ain't saying no soft ass shit. He ain't saying everybody come together and love homosexuals and child molesters and everybody just love each other. He ain't saying shit like that. We gotta love everybody around the world. He ain't saying that. I don't know what the fuck this bitch is saying, but she's saying it. You understand? So the point being, man, look, there's a lot of destruction that's about to transpire, and the Most High has his hand stretched forth, and it's about to be a whole lot of things that happen. Alright? So the Lord is testing your faith, prophecy is being fulfilled, and with that,
wait, one more scripture.
Salakia.
Got Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be weakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat, for there will I sit and judge all the heathen round about.
Let the weak say, I am strong. All these other nations, hey, they've been getting oppressed by this devil for hundreds of years. And now that they got nuclear capabilities, they got to say so on some things, man. And they're banding together just to ultimately shoot those arrows at this place, man. But that's prophecy. That's how it goes. Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. So it's all y'all's fault, man. It's all y'all nations' fault for scattering us. And like the brother read earlier, we the apple of the Lord's eye. So you gotta pay for that, man. And you're gonna pay in blood.
Be a lot of death and a lot of blood.
Hey, gonna be a lot of death, a lot of blood, and destruction. And this is what we're dealing with now. I'm gonna save this image. Yes, I am. Because this is just seeing these images flash up on my computer puts me in the mind of the situation that the world is constantly in with these brewing conflicts, man. You got anything else on?
No, I got one more thing. Obadiah 1:6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding.
It said the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. You thinking that hey, all these other nations are basically working on something for the U.S., man. All right, they're working on something. They're about to surprise the hell out these individuals.
You know Macron is talking all types of shit against the U.S., man.
Yeah. Now Macron he's tired of this shit, bro. And you know everybody thought he was gonna be a little pansy and shit because when he was running against that other broad, at least Le Pen, you know they thought everybody was glad that he got in and she didn't. Yeah, everybody thought he was gonna be a pushover. That's why the President Trump was making what's the word I'm looking for? Making light of him. They were joking and talking shit to him, and man, he was talking crazy mad shit to him, being disrespectful as hell to him. He might be a clown or pussy boy, but he's still a man. You understand? And now they called what he called the UN. He called them not absent-minded. He called them something boneheaded or something. Because something to the implication that they just dumb as hell. All right, he ain't. And now that Macron is getting pissed off, France is fucked up. Macron is getting pissed off. You understand? And guess who started this whole yellow jacket movement? Guess who started that whole Beijing movement, man? All right, U.S. just got caught with all those agents being out there in
Iran
and Khan. All right, 8 CIA agents that stirred up all 8 stirred up all of this bullshit. That had a hand in stirring up all this bullshit in Iran. Same thing with China. Same thing with Ukraine. Same thing. Well, I don't know about India and Pakistan. They've been at each other's necks and shit. They just instigate that. Same thing with the China and the U.S., man. All right, these things are instigated upon, and they actually started by the devil. The devil has the ability to set these lies in motion and set these different plans and devices in action and sit back and watch them. It's just like planting C4 and then sitting back after you get to a safe distance at a high location and pressing the button and watching the destruction ensue.
And as it just shows you, most of these different nations and different countries is beefing with the United States. So let's go back to prophecy that this America, which is that great harlot, the whore that sitteth upon many waters, shall be destroyed of the nations. This is Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
Yeah, that destruction. When you have a world war, it's a lot of death. Because that involves every country in some way, shape, and form. And with this battle that's ensuing, all right, it's gonna be every nation that loses a lot of people, a lot of soldiers, man, in the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, as it said in Joel 3:2, man, it's coming. And when it's here, you're gonna know because they're gonna start that draft up again. And out of this list, look at it. It's India versus Pakistan. But everybody else is versus the U.S. Russia versus the U.S. China versus the U.S. Iran versus the U.S. Trust me when I say that the U.S.'s borders are expanded further than possible right now, and they can possibly sustain. So we're the most vulnerable right now. All right. You got something else?
God, this will be my last precept. If anybody will bring anything else up, that's it today.
Good.
This is Revelation 17 and 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb being Yahweh Shai upon his return, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So that's the angels and the elect, which is the called and chosen and faithful. You know? And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest were the whore, represent America, represent Babylon the Great, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire.
Thermal nuclear destruction.
So really, these nations, I mean, all Trump set in motion is having these other nations gather their resources for this Third World War, and getting their resources together to pretty much make America desolate, man.
Yep. And that's what's next, man. Outside of that World War II. That's it. That sounds like a comic book or something. But it's actually real life, man. You know? So, with that, we pray you were edified. You know? Keep your eye on the news. The prophecy is unfolding. We're looking for this mark of the beast to happen here soon. Pushing that RFID microchip, you know. That's the next big thing that we're waiting for. Of course, the war itself. So, there's a lot of things happening. Just be vigilant. Keep your eyes open. And we almost up out of this piece, you understand? So, with that, you know, Wild Bob Ball. Until the next time, give all praise and highest honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakadash. Alright, with that, we'll bid you shalom.